I'm Rob Tracinski, and I'm running for Congress in Virginia's 5th District. Well, it's a heck of a thing to see your name on the front page of the local paper. This is last Saturday's Charlottesville Daily Progress, and it's a profile of yours truly under the title, Who is Rob Tracinski? Well, if you live in Charlottesville and you didn't know the answer to that question, there's a better chance you know it now. The profile is actually pretty good, with one big reservation, and I'd like to offer a few comments. To begin with, they say it's good publicity if they spell your name right, and that's not something I can always take for granted, so I'm pretty happy with that. And it's even better publicity if they mention my book, which they do. So the very first step of this campaign is just name recognition, especially this early in the process, and this is exactly what the campaign needed right now. And look, my advantage as a candidate is 30 years as a writer and speaker. I'm good at just sitting down and talking to a reporter. And that's the best thing about this profile. The reporter, David Velasquez, used a lot of my best lines. So you get me saying, I think the U.S. Congress is a good idea, and it would be nice if we had one. Here's an important one. Part of the reason I ran is I didn't see anybody else who was prepared for the kind of constitutional knife fight that Congress needs to be fighting right now. I describe our 5th District incumbent, John McGuire, as a rubber stamp without, quote, even the slightest glimmer of independence, unquote. And boy, is that true. And it quotes my basic case for my campaign. I can offer a reasonable alternative for disgruntled independents and Republicans while still offering Democrats the thing I think is actually most important, which is we're going to restore the power of Congress. We're going to rein in an out-of-control president. But I'm afraid that led to a misunderstanding. Now, I've done a lot of interviews from both sides, the guy asking the questions and the guy answering the questions. And you never know what's going to be misinterpreted. So I mentioned, just as a historical example, a previous Democratic representative from this district, Virgil Goode, as an example of how partisan loyalties sometimes shift. And people who used to say they'd never vote for a Republican now say they'd never vote for a Democrat. Maybe they'll switch back again. And then I find the reporter describing me as an admirer of Virgil Goode, who takes him as my role model. I never said any of that, and I didn't mean to imply it, and I guess my lesson from this is to never mention the name Virgil Goode ever again. Because the downside is that Goode was elected as a Democrat, and after a couple terms, ratted out the Dems and switched to be a Republican. And I don't want anyone thinking that that's what I'm going to do. The Republican Party is dead to me now. And even if they did their best to reform themselves and try to become something reasonable, well, you tell me how likely that is. You can't turn back the clock. And we're not going to get, Ronald Reagan's party back again. We've got the party that likes colonels from the KGB, not the one that hated them. It's a shame, but there it is. Now, last of all, the framing in this profile of the Daily Progress is that I'm the upstart candidate compared to Tom Perriello, who I guess is more of the establishment Democrat in this district. And his one term in Congress 16 years ago is the best Democrats have done so far this century. So fair enough. I know I'm the scrappy underdog in the Democratic primary. But the first step is just to get better known to the community, and getting on the front page of the local paper, well, that's a pretty good beginning. The important thing is that this gets across my message about restoring our constitutional system, because that's why I'm running, and that's what I'm asking you to vote for.